but let's kickstart the show by taking your queries then. And before we do that, viewers, on the top of your screens and on your screens as well, you should be able to see the number where you can write to us at. Now, do remember to mention the buy price for the stocks that you're already invested in, and for the stocks that you're wishing to invest in, do mention the time horizon that you then have in mind. But with that, let's connect with our guests. Then we have Gaurang Shah who's joining us right now. And we also have Dhwani Patel who's joining us. In fact, Gaurang Shah is the Senior Vice President at Geojit Financial Services, and Dhwani Patel, founder of Finversify, is also connected with us. Thank you so much for taking time out and joining us. The first query that we in fact have is coming in from a viewer named Chandrasekhar Gaurang, writing to us from Bangalore, wants to know about Jio Financial Services. Now, he does have 225 shares. Buy price is 387 rupees thereabout. What do you make of this one then?
Morning, and thank you very much for having me on the show. So on the fundamental side, we do have positive coverage on Jio Financial Services from a long-term point of view, and we all know the history of price discovery and the performance after that. As far as the time horizon is concerned, our sense is that you need to have at least 1.5, 2 year plus of kind of time horizon. Reason being that as they go on getting approvals and as they start their businesses at ground level, the contribution is likely to come in over a longer period of time. So if you have that kind of a view, our advice would be to hold on to the stock primarily. And in case if it goes closer to maybe 300 or 280, if you want to increase your investment, you can do that. And if somebody wants to do a fresh investment with a long-term point of view, our advice would be to possibly start accumulating as well.
All right, that's the advice coming in on Jio Financials. But moving on then, and Dhwani, very good morning to you as well. And the first query that we have for you is coming in on Vedanta, because Nikhil Sharma is been holding the stock from a levels of 515 rupees, though the stock is Vedanta is what we are talking about. And Dhwani, Nikhil has 40 shares, his buy price is 515 rupees. What's your take on this one? Good to hold for the long term, because this stock is too news heavy in terms of the dividend, as well as there's been a revision in their demerger plans as well. But overall, what's your take on coming in on Vedanta, Dhwani?
Good morning, Shrishti, and a very good morning to everybody else. Now, talking about Vedanta over here, definitely I would suggest hold on to the counter. Given that the counter is taking up a support at its point of polarity, earlier the same levels of 475 have acted as a good resistance. The breakout of the same has resulted the level to turn into a support level over here, as well as if you check out on the weeklies is where the stock is holding up an upward trajectory, and it's just retesting its 20 weeks average over here. So from current levels, definitely a bounce is expected in this counter. On the short-term basis, you can expect, given 520, 525 level breaks out, you'll be seeing fresh highs coming in on this one. On the lower side, the stop loss, I would suggest him to maintain, is going to be of 465.
That's the take coming in as far as Vedanta is concerned. But tell you what, Gaurang, the next one that we have for you is a fresh investment idea that RK in fact is seeking. Now, he wants to know about NTPC Green, Bharti Energies, as well as Ola Electric, and the time frame that he has in mind is actually 3 years. Do you have any entry points in mind? What do you think of these three stocks?
Well, on NTPC Green, Bharti and Ola Electric, we had a subscribe note from for the IPO on all the three companies. And 3 years is a very decent time horizon. I would only say that, since markets are in a consolidation zone and sideways range bound to move, start at current levels, allocate proportionate amounts on all three. I'm keeping the IPO note as a base for my advice. And from a long-term point of view, 3 years, definitely you can start investing, and add-on dips would be the strategy.
That's the take on a couple of these names. But Gaurang, sticking with the power space, the next query is coming in on Tata Power, wherein Bhardwaj is holding over 2,700 shares. His buy price is 352 rupees. Can he go ahead and buy more at current market price? His view is to stay invested for the next 2 to 5 years.
Srishti, I don't know what is the portion in terms of percentage of his entire portfolio and the exposure to Tata Power. If it is relatively lower, you can definitely hold on, and add on dips would be the strategy. We have a positive coverage on Tata Power.
Dips recommendation coming in on Tata Power. Dhwani, I'm going to come right back to you, because Ravi Chandra Babu is writing to us from Bangalore. he has a lot of different shares and different in his portfolio. There's a lot of shares, but he wants to know how much more correction can be expected at this point in Adani Green as well as HDFC Life. What do you make of these two counters?
Talking about Adani Green, of course, the stock has seen a downward trajectory, and we are trading still into the same emotion over here. I would say, because after the fall, there was no recovery that we had seen. There was definitely a bounce did we see over here, but it was more of a dead cat bounce in technical terms. And from there, we are again seeing the fall coming in this particular counter. And on the weeklies, also we have broken the important support levels for this particular one. On the lower side, the support now lies at 870 levels. So Adani Green is still there for a downward momentum that should continue till 870.
All right, that's the take coming in on Adani Green. We're moving on to the next query, and this one is coming in from Smita Vikram. And if you can help Gaurang with her investment in Central Bank, because she's been holding the stock from a price of 49 rupees 35 paise. What to do with this one, hold or book profits? Gaurang, your take on...
Sorry, Shrishti, I'm apologize. I was on a mute. Well, on central bank, we don't have a coverage, but we are positive on other public sector banks, likes of State Bank of India, Bank of Baroda, Bank of India, Canara Bank, PNB, Indian Bank. With respect to central bank, it's not a recommendation, but the problem is with the earnings delivery. And that's what is actually, restricting the stock in terms of upward moves. No specific comments, but the names that I suggested in terms of our preference are relatively better placed for long-term investors.
All right, then that's a take coming in as far as those banks are concerned. But time now for a very quick breather on the show. When we come back, we'll continue taking all of your stock-related queries, so don't go anywhere. Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying tuned in to Buy Now, Sell Now. Let's continue taking all of your stock-related queries. Then in the next one, Gaurang, that we have is coming in from Tina, who's writing to us about BHEL. Now, the price that she's invested in is 290. She's also asking about Adani Power for a fresh buy at current levels. What do you have in mind for both of these counters?
I would be disappointing her because we have a sell recommendation on BHEL. Our targets that we had set aside were achieved earlier. We had a buy call on BHEL, but now since the target are there, we have a sell call. And if she decides to exit from BHEL, my advice would be to move into another defense-related PSU, that is Bharat Electronics Limited, BEL. I think this shift would be a prudent strategy from a long-term point of view. Second question was on Adani Power. Well, unfortunately, we don't have coverage on Adani Power, so I won't be able to comment specifically on this. But overall, we remain structurally positive on the power generation, power transmission, distribution, and power equipment related companies. We discussed Tata Power a while back. That would be a preferred investment idea. NTPC, Torrent Power, CESC, and JSW Energy. These are the power generating companies that we have a positive coverage from a long-term point of view.
All right, so that's the advice coming in on BHEL and some of the alternatives being also proposed by Gaurang. But moving on then, and the next query that I have, Dhwani is coming in from Padma. He's a senior citizen and he's having 15 to 20% loss in a couple of counters, namely Castrol India as well as Whirlpool. So Dhwani, if we can check for him, that are these like stocks that where he should go ahead and book the loss and move out of this funds, or there is some hope that is there and he should just continue holding?
Okay, talking about Castrol India over here, first Srishti, over here in this particular counter, the stock is trading into a downward trajectory. In fact, if you look up at the weeklies, also the weeklies have given a breakdown over here, and from here, the next support level for this counter is somewhere around 175 levels, and from there, given a further breakdown, it can go down to 165 as well. So on the short-term basis over here, I do see a downside coming in on Castrol. It would be suggestive that he exits out of the same. And similarly in Whirlpool also, you're seeing that on daily structure itself, you're seeing a current breakdown coming in today's session, and this would continue as a fall downward towards the 1700 levels. So there is more downside coming in Whirlpool as well. On short-term chartical structure basis, both are an exit from my side.
So an exit coming in on Whirlpool and the other stock that has been mentioned as well. But the next one that we in fact have is coming in from Sridhar, who's writing to us from Bangalore, Gaurang, and he wants to know about Cochin Shipyard, 326 stocks, shares at the buy price of 1,420 rupees. For the long term, is it better to sell or hold at current levels?
The view that normally investors get invested in the defense related companies. And I've always mentioned, not only on ET Now, but our sister channel ET Now Swadesh, that if you are investing in defense or cap goods engineering, or as a matter of fact, railway related stocks, you need to have 2.5, 3 years plus, maybe about 5 years kind of time horizon to have a meaningful return getting generated from your investment into these sectors, and of course, strong companies. Now, coming to Cochin Shipyard, we have a positive view. That's a disclosure. Our targets are somewhere close to about 1,560. These are preliminary targets. As I mentioned, most of these defense companies have a very strong order book. And the issue is that to execute that order, they need time because they are very complex, high precision, high technology products that they have to make. And especially shipbuilding is a long gestation kind of investment idea. So if you have that longish kind of time horizon that I mentioned, I don't think you need to be in a hurry to sell out. They have recently acquired a lot of orders from the Ministry of Defense, Naval, as well as from the overseas market. The order book is strong, and equally is the capability of Cochin Shipyard to execute that order book. So long term, hold on to it.
A hold coming in for the long term when it comes to Cochin Shipyard. But Dhwani, I'm coming to you for 3 counters actually, because this one is a query coming in from a viewer named Satya, and he wants your advice. Firstly, with Bharti Industries, he's been holding the stock from levels of 600 plus. He's at a loss in this one. The other counter is GNFC. He is holding the stock from a levels of 550 rupees. What to do with this stock, as well as Devyani International? The buy price here is 165 rupees. Dhwani, is that an average or an hold advice coming in on any of these names by you, or any recommendation to switch to any other stock as well?
All right, talking about all the 3 counters one by one. First, talking about Bharti Industries. Bharti Industries definitely the short-term basis structure has reversed on the lower side. We are seeing a fall coming in. In fact, the breakdown of the chartical structure happened at 577 levels. From there, we are constantly seeing a downfall coming in this particular counter. This downfall will be there on the lower side. The support level is around 350. So there are still further pain that one would have to see holding on to this counter. So prudent advice would be here to exit out of Bharti Industries. Talking about Devyani following the same. Devyani is a hold from my side on the current level as well. The weekly structure over here is strong. It has formed a base formation around 160 to 65 levels, and from there we are seeing a upward rise coming in over here. So hold on to Devyani. Keep a stop loss on the lower side at 164, and on the higher side one can expect target of 200 coming in on short-term basis. And the third counter that we are talking about over here is GNFC. In GNFC as well, the chartical structure has given a breakdown on the lower side, and the weekly structure over here though is where we are acting up as a support. So hold on to GNFC over here. Daily structure definitely looks weak, but there would be a certain dip and a support level at 540 levels from the current state. So that is the place where one can average also into this counter and hold on it on positional basis.
That's a take coming in on not 1, not 2, but 3 of those counters. Gaurang, I'm going to come to you with the next one, because we do have Jijesh who's written to us. Wants to know about Zomato that he's holding on to now. He's not mentioned the buy price or how much he's invested in terms of the number of shares then. But what do you make of Zomato?
Well, so this one has been a star performer since its listing, then the performance, then the stock going below the IPO price, and then the recovery after that on the earning front, and the contribution coming in from Blinkit. I think quick commerce is going to face competition as we move into the next calendar year, 2025. There are a lot of veterans who are coming into this particular sector. But given the kind of size and presence of listed entities like Zomato and Swiggy, we believe they will continue to dominate the market share and even have the capability of venturing into newer geographies and enhancing their network. On Swiggy, fundamentally, we had a subscribe recommendation for the IPO. And as far as the the question of Zomato is concerned, we are having a fundamental buy call on Zomato. I think this entry exit has created some kind of euphoria in the stock over the last couple of days. But barring that, I think nothing changes in terms of entry exit. Fundamentally, the stock looks extremely well poised to look for a strong upside, given the kind of outlook that we have on earnings and contribution from Blinkit.
All right, so that's the take coming in on Zomato, as well as Gaurang also shared his take on Swiggy. But with this, it's now time to slip into a very short break. Viewers, don't go anywhere. As we come right back, we will take more of your stock-related queries. Welcome back to Buy Now Sell Now, show where we get you answers for all your stock-related queries. And continuing the same, Gaurang, the next query that I have is on large cap L&T, wherein a viewer named Vijay wants to know, is this a good stock actually to go ahead and do an SIP on a monthly basis? What's your take on this one, Gaurang? What to do? Gaurang? All right, I guess we have snapped that line with Gaurang. But Dhwani, if you can help Vijay here with his strategy on L&T, good stock to do an SIP, as the stock has been holding key support levels?
Absolutely. It's one of the counters that always are recommended to be there onto your portfolio. And it's definitely a good strategy to add here in SIP basis in slow and steady tranches. Looking at it from a longer perspective, the stock has been into a perennial bullish trend itself, and definitely on short-term basis, we do see certain correction coming in. In fact, if you see on the weeklies closely, it's a sideways zone that this counter has been trading into. On the lower side, the support is at 3,300, and on the higher side, there's a resistance that the stock is facing around 4,000. And this is the zone that we've been trading on since the start of the year. And currently also we are into the same zone. But yes, definitely it's a good strategy to put money across into this one in SIP basis and look up at long-term gains.
All right, and that's the take coming in as far as L&T is concerned. Gaurang, I'm going to come right back to you because we do have Jay Krishnan writing to us from Kerala, wants to ask about Siemens at a buy price of 7,378 for the medium term. What should he do?
Well, I think the stock has gone into a correction mode after seeing a decent amount of upside. And not only Siemens, I think even ABB and the likes of other cap goods engineering stock. You were discussing L&T recently, even that is on a little bit of downside. But these are all short to medium term blips. From a long term point of view, we remain structurally positive on Siemens, and our target is in excess of 7,600 plus kinds of level on Siemens. And let me give a caveat and a disclosure as well that, like I mentioned while we were discussing Cochin Shipyard, I also mentioned about cap goods engineering. Have a longish time horizon. Don't hold or invest into these sectors from maybe about 6 months, 1 year kind of a time horizon. The longer you invest and the longer you stay invested into these stocks, that will give you a much better wealth creation opportunity.
All right, so that's an advice coming in on Siemens that you can continue holding it, but do have a long-term vision if you are getting into this particular counter. But Dhwani, coming back to you, this query is coming in on Bharti Hexacom, where Neha from Bangalore has bought these shares at a price of 1,150 rupees. She can actually stay invested for the next 3 to 6 months. Dhwani, what will be your advice?
Absolutely, stay invested into it. That's the only one word I can say for it. The counter has been into on the bullish side, and it's been there into a sideways zone, though the breakout level is at 1530 over here. but the support level is strongly shifting on the higher side. Earlier, we were seeing support levels coming somewhere around 1350 levels, which have now shifted on the higher side. And now the next support here is at 1440 levels. So hold on to it. 1440, given the level is being holding out, you'll see a breakout coming in on the higher side at 1550, 1565, and you'll see fresh highs.
Right, so fresh highs in store for Bharti Hexacom. That's the take coming in from Dhwani. But the next one that we actually have is coming in from our viewer Venkat Rao, writing to us from Visakhapatnam. Wants to know about Canara Bank, 3,000 shares at a buy price of 119. Gaurang, what do you make of this one then?
Also one stock which corrected along with the other PSU bank stocks. On the fundamental side, we remain positive. The only issue is the acquisition price from a short to medium term point of view. But if you're a long-term investor, we recommend a hold on Canara Bank. And in case if the stock has to slip below 100, closer to 95, one can look at new investment as well as averaging at those levels from a long-term point of view.
All right, that's the take coming in on Canara Bank. But sticking with the PSU counters then, Dhwani, the next query is on BEL, wherein Venu wants to have the technical outlook on this particular stock. How do you see the setup, and what levels to watch out for in this particular stock?
Yeah, absolutely. The setup on BEL on technical radar is definitely where we are seeing a consolidation zone. In fact, the stock has done nothing much since July this year, and we are seeing a downward take coming in from there. But again, if you look up at the longer horizon, the perennial trend is on the bullish side, and the support level for this counter is at 260 levels. From there, we'll see a bounce coming in back again. And given on the higher side, 330 is broken with momentum, we'll be seeing fresh buying action also coming in. So I would suggest hold on to it. The structure is on the bullish side. 260 is the level where one needs to watch out at. And if you're already holding on to it, that's the level where you can average.
All right, then that's the take coming in as far as Bharat Electronics is concerned, and a bullish one at that. But Gaurang, I'm going to come right back to you because Padma Siva Rao is writing to us from Bangalore. Wants to know about Maruti Suzuki, 4 shares at a buy price of 6,900, which is sub the current market price that is there for Maruti Suzuki. Now, he really wants to know if he should actually sell this investment that he has in Maruti Suzuki and instead invest in Mahindra and Mahindra. What do you make of this?
Well, I think doing this kind of flip-flops will really not help you, and like I mentioned, once you invest in a stock, given the nature of market correction, being a large cap stock, it is doing what it is doing. But don't do this flip-flop. I mean, you want to sell Maruti and get into Mahindra and Mahindra. Well, let me give a prudent disclosure over here. We have coverage positive on Maruti Suzuki as well as Mahindra and Mahindra. So stay put is what I would recommend in terms of target. Long term, 12,800 plus is the target on Maruti. And in case if it, if the stock of Maruti slips a little bit more, I would say that don't be satisfied by just investing in 4 shares of Maruti. If you have investable amount, I think any level closer to 10,500 or closer to 10,000, in case if the market is to correct, will do well. See, the nature of auto sector is that we are in the month of December. Companies do roll out heavy discounts to clear off inventory, which creates a short-term kind of concern on the entire auto pack. But long-term, we remain extremely positive.
All right, so Maruti Suzuki, that's the advice coming in. If you get some more correction in the stock, if you happen to see one, then that will be a good opportunity to go ahead and accumulate more. But moving on to the next query then, and the next query that we have is coming in from Venkat Rao, but he has had queries on 2 counters, Devyani as well as Canara Bank. So we have already addressed those in the past. So Mr. Rao, if you can go ahead and refer to those, that will be helpful. But with this, I'm moving on to the next one. And Dhwani, the next query is from Sudarshan, and he wants your take on Bharti Airtel. He wants to know the target and stop loss for Bharti Airtel, but for this particular week itself.
When you're looking up at Bharti Airtel, definitely over here on the short-term horizon, we are seeing a buying action coming in. In fact, in today's session as well, the stock is showing an upward take of about 1 to 1.5%, and we are trading higher. But the breakout for this counter will happen in for the position at 1615 level. So when the stock crosses 1615, a buy is suggested. Looking up at the shorter horizon, he has 1660 is a good target for this one, and the lower side stop loss that he needs to maintain is going to be of 1585.
Stop loss at 1585 coming in for Bharti Airtel, and that's the recommendation coming in for Dhwani as well. But the next one that we in fact have is coming in from Rebecca, who's writing to us from Calcutta, Gaurang, and she wants to know about Coal India as well as BSE. Now for Coal India, she is holding on to 40 shares at a buy price of 511 rupees and 10 shares for BSE at a buy price of 2270 rupees. What do you make of Coal India as well as BSE then?
So let me first address Coal India. I think the stock has corrected quite sharply, including from the levels where she has invested. At current levels, in case if she's got investable amount, I would advise her to average a little bit, not 100%, but 25, 30, 50%, or maybe a little bit more, in case if that investable amount is there. 500, closer to 590 is the target on Coal India from a long-term point of view. The second question on BSE, that is Bombay Stock Exchange Limited. I will give a comment on the entire sector, that is the companies associated with the performance of Indian equity market. Now, whether you are a platform provider like BSE Limited, whether you are a service provider, for example, depository services, or whether you are an intermediary. If your view is that the Indian market is going to do quite well for the next 3 years, 5 years plus kind of time horizon, and if the stock market does well, invariably these companies are also likely to perform quite better. Since we don't have a coverage, I won't give a direct buy, sell and hold, but the sector look quite promising, and in that there are some strong companies that you should definitely look at.
All right, that's the take coming in on BSE as well as Coal India. But Dhwani, the next query that we have is coming in on HAL, where KS Rao wants to know the entry price for HAL. He wished to stay invested for a long term.
Absolutely. For HAL, this is the right entry price actually, Shrishti, because if you look up at the weeklies as well as the daily chart structure, on the weeklies, the stock is forming a base formation around 3,985 to 4,000 levels. And also on the daily structure, we are seeing that the stock has taken up a support at 200 DMA, and from there we are seeing constant buying action coming in. It's been tested 3 times till now since October, and from there we are constantly seeing buy action coming in on HAL. So this is the right point in time to buy HAL from the current levels. On the lower side, the stop loss that he would have to maintain is going to be of 3935. On the higher side, we'll be seeing 4,800 on a short-term basis.
And that's the take coming in as far as HAL is concerned. Time for a quick breather on the show. When we come back, we'll continue taking all of your stock-related queries, viewers, so don't go anywhere. Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying tuned into Buy Now, Sell Now on ET Now. Let's continue taking all of your stock-related queries. In fact, Gaurang, the next one that we have is coming in from Vishwanath Nair, who's writing to us from Cochin, wants to know about 3 stocks actually, IRCTC, Concor, as well as Schneider Electric. Now, he wants to know if he can buy into the following scripts for the long term. What do you make of these 3?
Well, so I would be in position to comment only on one, that is Concor, Container Corporation of India. We have a positive coverage over here. The other 2 stocks, Schneider as well as IRCTC, unfortunately, now, since we don't have a coverage, I'm not in a position to give you a direct buy, sell and hold. But these 2 companies also look quite interesting in terms of performance with respect to earnings visibility and the growth prospect that these 2 companies have, given the broad lineup of policies that the government has laid out.
And Dhwani, do you care to look at the other 2 counters, that is Concor as well as Schneider Electric?
Yeah, of course. When you're talking about Concor over here, I do not see much of a reason over here why one should not add on to, because when we're looking at the weekly structure, the structure definitely has seen a breakdown, but then the support level is definitely there, what we can see at 750, 755 levels in Concord. And even on the dailies, we are definitely spotting some reversal coming in around the same levels as well. So from the current level, do not go 100% into it, but slow and steady investment in Concord is recommended from the technical side. And the stop loss that one needs to maintain is going to be of 750. Given that is holding out, we will see a bounce coming in over here in this counter till 880 levels. And talking about Schneider Electrics over here in this counter, I would not suggest a buy recommendation because the stock is into a sideways zone, as well as on the weeklies, we are seeing that the buying is not supporting over here. So this one is an avoid.
All right, that's the take coming in on all the three counters. But Dhwani, I'm coming right back to you because this query is coming in from Bala and he wants your take on Amara Raja batteries. The stock has definitely corrected in the past 3 months or so, and not just Amara Raja, even Exide have corrected a bit. But what's your take on this particular counter at this price point? Is this a good entry point for Amara Raja batteries, or should he wait more to add on dips?
Wait is what I would suggest in this counter because on the weeklies, we are seeing a good amount of breakdown that has come in from the high points of 1700, 1740 odd levels. And from there, a constant downward trajectory is what the stock has been maintaining in the second half of this year. And this is there to continue further. The support levels for this one should come somewhere around 1050 levels. So we'll revisit at that time and then look up at buying opportunities.
All right, and that's the take coming in as far as that particular counter is concerned. Tell you what, Gaurang, the next one that we have is a query coming in on Minda Corp. And we have Jagannathan, in fact, who's asking us this question from Coimbatore, wants to know about Minda Corp. 386 shares, I believe, is his 386 is his buy price for just about 100 shares. And currently, it's around 500 rupees, the stock. What do you make of this one then?
Us to do well, which we strongly believe. Auto ancillary will not be anywhere behind because they complement each other. Unfortunately, again, on Minda Corp, we don't have a coverage, so I'm not in a possible position to give you a direct buy, sell, and hold. But the other companies that we cover in the auto ancillary OEM segment as CIE Automotive, Uno Minda is something we have a positive coverage, and Bosch. Of course, the entire auto pack new launches is a driver towards the order book of OEM stroke ancillary companies. And equally strong is the repeat market, which replacement market. So, the growth looks quite strong.
All right, that's the take coming in on a couple of these auto names. But the next query that I have, Dhwani, is coming in from Chaitanya from Hyderabad and wants your view on IREDA. Has bought these shares from levels of close to 250 rupees and he also has IRFC from levels of close to 99 rupees. What's your view on both of these stocks?
IREDA, I won't be able to comment much because we do not have too much of a technical data over here. But then whatever is there over here on the broader structure, we do see that the stock is trying to make a base of formation around 180, 185 odd levels. And from there, we are seeing buying action coming in. If already currently holding a position, I would suggest keep a stop loss on the lower level around the same levels and then hold on for higher gains in this one. The breakout and the momentum in this counter should come when it crosses above 230 levels. And talking about IRFC over here, in IRFC, I would not suggest a buy coming in over here at the current levels, given on the technical side, the structure is seeing a certain breakdown coming in. So there would be a sell-off that can be seen in this counter. The support level is coming around 140 levels. So revisit at that time in IRFC.
That was a take coming in as far as IRFC is also concerned. On that note, thank you so much, Gaurang, as well as Dhwani, for joining us and answering all the queries patiently. That's all the queries that we could pack for you on the show